Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're here today to talk about a Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, the Metronome Trestle Table from Nienkamper. And I have with me Rebecca Nienkamper, Vice President at Nienkamper, to talk to us about it. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, and thank you for the award. We really appreciate it.
So Rebecca, tell me about Trestle. What was the inspiration behind the Metronome Trestle Table?
Well, we've worked with Fig 40. 10 years ago, they came to us with a design metronome, which was an aluminum leg and very successful. And a few years ago, we just approached them again and said, we need a table that is similar to metronome, but we're looking for wood in particular. And we also needed something that was going to allow us to incorporate the technology that so many of our clients are asking for. So they designed Metronome Trestle, and quite different than the original metronome, with a solid wood leg and available in a standing and a seated height table. And what's unusual about it, or different about it, is that it has this chimney in the center of the table that is both a structural support, but it also allows a lot of the technology to be hidden into the base of the table. And then it has this really lovely steel rail that curves out and joins the wood legs. And that's also structural, which allows us to have, a large table without much structure underneath it other than the chimney and the four legs, basically.
What I really love about the Metronome Trestle, and the reason why we gave it the award, is that it's a product with so much presence, and yet it's so versatile, right? It could really fit into a variety of situations. It can be used in so many different ways. As you said, it's available in two standing heights. And there's a lot of customization possible with it as well, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how you kind of foresee people using Metronome Trestle in spaces, and what are the kinds of changes and customizations they can make with the table?
Well, we always introduce something with the designer's own spin on it, but everything that we manufacture is made to order, and I think that's one of the things that they like to come to us for, is that they can put their own personal touch on it. When we first introduced it, it had a laminate center with a wood edge, but we have a variety of our own standard woods, but you can also do an entirely wood top or an entirely laminate top, or marry the combinations together. The frame of it is steel, and we powder coat. We show it downstairs in the mart with a black powder coat base, but you can do red, you can do green, you can tie in your corporate identity any way which you want to do it, really.
I love that. Again, it's just incredible that it's this table that has a lot of character on its own, even just as it is, but then it can kind of change character. That's so nice in this day and age when we really want our workspaces to make this emotional connection with us, and we want our furniture to be flexible and versatile and usable in many different ways. Is there anything else that designers need to know when they're selecting Metronome Trestle for projects?
The sky's the limit, of course, because, as I said, everything's made to order. But the way we use it, conservatively in our showroom, but we've seen things go through our plant which are quite exciting, with like a blue powdered base, going to sports centers, or working, as you said, as a meeting hub for even in the library, if you will.
It's such a beautiful table. Congratulations. It's such a fantastic new product. If you want to know more about the Metronome Trestle Table, head over on to nienkamper.com. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining me today.
Thank you, Avi. I appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here today to talk about an amazing breakthrough product, a Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, Legato linoleum poured floors from Mannington Commercial. And I have with me here today Al Balone, who is the VP of poured floors from Mannington Commercial.
That's correct. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me, Al.
Yeah.
Tell us about Legato linoleum.
Yeah, so this is a great product that we're really excited to add to our portfolio. It's the first time that we've really entered into the poured floor category. Legato is a poured version of what people traditionally think of as linoleum. It's some of the great features of the product include the all-natural materials. It's made from cork, limestone, wood flour, or cork flour to be more specific, and then other natural color pigments that make up the color part of it. What is specifically different about it, though, is the way that it's manufactured. Sheet linoleum goes through a manufacturing process much like other sheet products. And Legato is actually manufactured on site. So when you bring it to the job site, you mix it together right there and apply it to the floor in a poured manner using trowels and pin rollers and good stuff like that. So a lot of really cool benefits about it, really nice sustainable add to our portfolio of product.
Let's talk about that. And you
Sure.
said it's a sustainable add to your portfolio. I mean, linoleum is essentially made up mostly of bio-based materials,
It is,
so
yeah.
obviously it has a great credential. Tell us about this, Legato version. What are the sustainability kind of benefits of using Legato linoleum?
Again, I think some of it is related to manufacturing. We are just mixing these raw materials together on the job site, pouring it on the floor, so there is no manufacturing involved. So that's a big part of it. All the natural materials that you mentioned, it's non-PVC, it's chlorine-free, formaldehyde-free. It has the ongoing list of sustainability certifications, including an HPD and an EPD. You can go to our website and learn more about all the ingredients that make up Legato. But from kind of start to finish, and even throughout its life cycle and after its life cycle, there's a lot of really good benefits. For example, I just recently found out after talking to the manufacturer that we partnered with over in the Netherlands that this product can actually be pulled off the floor at the end of life, and it's compostable. You can actually compost the material, which is a pretty cool feature of a flooring product, not very typical for what we see in the flooring world. So.
What's fantastic about that is that, so far flooring that can be, easily recycled or easily reprocessed at
Yep.
the end of life or for a second life has been, not flooring that's used in high traffic spaces,
Sure.
high performance flooring. And here we have a high performance product that is
Absolutely.
also compostable at the end of its
Yeah.
life. That is just mind blowing.
Yes.
Tell us about the performance of this product. Is there any kind of compromise in terms of performance because it is linoleum?
No, quite the contrary, actually. This product goes anywhere that our traditional hard surface product, whether it's sheet product or rubber or LVT or whatever it is, we're recommending this product in those same end of use segments, including healthcare, heavy rolling load traffic, under hospital beds, you can put this product. So from a performance perspective, just the way the product reacts to those environments is great. Plus it features our Quantum Guard Elite urethane system on the top, which is stain resistance, scratch resistance, all the other benefits that traditionally come from a hard surface floor that you would expect in those harsh environments. Legato features those same benefits at the same time. So again, and one of, I think, our end users' favorite parts so far is the fact that it's seamless. So there is no heat welding, there is no need for those kind of messy heat weld seams that can often gather a lot of kind of not so nice things in those seams. So we've done up to 20,000 square feet of this without a single seam in the space. We've got some great videos available on our website again that kind of show that, but all sorts of great performance stories and sustainability stories around Legato.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Al. Legato
problem.
linoleum just seems like such a fantastic product that is great for human health, but also wonderful for ecosystem health, just
Yeah.
because of how responsible it is in its materials and its
Thanks.
processes.
Yeah, we're excited.
Thank you so much,
No
Al.
problem. Thank you.
If you want to know more about Legato linoleum, head on over to manningtoncommercial.com. That's manningtoncommercial.com. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're here today to talk about Interface's Rising Science Collection, and to talk about it I have with me Carrie Pei, who's Vice President of Global Product Design at Interface. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Avi. It's so good to see you.
This is such a beautiful collection. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the thinking behind Rising Science?
Okay, yes, I'd love to. Rising Signs was designed during the pandemic, as most of the collections I think are being shown at NeoCon are, or were. And so Rising Signs is really a result of what was happening globally around the world. And it was the silver lining of what was happening. You know, what all of us were doing shelter in place, there was this incredible need to break out of those four walls. And so what we saw in the media is we saw people extending beyond their homes onto their fire escapes, onto their terraces, onto their stairwells, and connecting with those familiar strangers that they used to just nod to. Finally, they were finding out that they had a first name and they had a family, and there were things that were other silver linings also happening at the same time. Was the people who were trapped in their homes, unable to see their families that normally take care of them. Neighbors were coming by and taking care of them. People were learning how to garden for the first time. They're creating window boxes with herbs and tomatoes or cucumbers, or maybe these little patches of land in their backyards. And then they were sharing that food with those neighbors that they had just become familiar with.
I'm one of those people who started house planting and house gardening during the pandemic, so I definitely relate to what you're saying. And I think, it's interesting to use that as an inspiration, this connection between our interior lives and our exterior lives. And flooring is such a perfect place for us to kind of explore that connection. Tell us about how Rising Signs does that.
Okay, so Rising Signs starts with this story of extending from the stair to the garden. And so as the collection is designed with these large-scale geometrics that refer to the stair, they're not literally drawn to look like stairs. They're dithering dots that are drawn at an angle that evolve into a more abstract, organic, textural field that is, referencing the garden. And so there are 8 products, 6 of them are planks and 2 of them are squares. And the whole collection has 6 foundational grays, and then there are these accent colors throughout the collection, and they're the same palette of accent colors so that the stairway can actually live next to the garden. Like here you have these dithering dots creating the angles, and then here is this ombre of color in the background. And they can live side by side even though they're 2 completely different aesthetics.
I love that.
Yeah.
That has this beautiful story of making connections as well. It's just it's kind of woven throughout the collection.
Yeah.
Interface is a global leader in sustainability. You know that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how that's part of Rising Signs as well.
Rising Signs is carbon neutral, like our entire product line. So with Rising Signs, you can be sure that you're going to have the lowest carbon footprint product in the industry.
That's fantastic. Interface is a leader not just in our industry on sustainability, but actually in manufacturing as a whole. Not just are you carbon neutral across your products, you're even carbon negative in some of your offerings. It's just an incredible achievement. Is there anything else that designers need to know as they specify Rising Signs?
I would say one of the gifts of Rising Signs is that, because it's a modular system, the modularity always allows us to do designated areas for, focus or for collaborating. But with Rising Signs, it's through the color and texture that the floor informs the person how to behave. So it's a very, wonderful spread between bright jewel tones that are engaging and enlivening, and really calm, beautiful pastels. So you can have a whole plethora of behaviors through the floor.
I love this, really poetic, sensitive kind of design story with a product that performs so amazingly and is so good for the planet.
Well,
thank you so much, Carrie, for
Thank
doing
you.
this with me. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us. If you want to know more about Rising Signs, head on over to interface.com for more details. Thank you. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're here today to talk about a fantastic new collection of flooring products, a Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, Shaw Contracts Collective collection. And to talk about that with us today is Reese Duncan, who's VP of Global Design at Shaw Contract. Reese, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, of course, thank you.
Tell us about Collective. I know it has a really interesting story behind it. What was the inspiration?
Yeah, I think Collective, we started this idea thinking about join. Like, we were all sort of a little bit disconnected working in the new environment through the middle of COVID, and really knew that there were a lot of other social justice issues happening in the world that's really just dividing people. So we wanted to based this collection on joining people together in this collective sense. Together we're whole, right? Individually we're unique. Everyone brings something different to the table. So then we had to think about what does that look like, you know? So we really explored different visuals that could link people together and just bring people together in a space.
It's also a very broad and diverse collection. Lots of solutions within the collective collection, which is one of the things we loved about it at Metropolis. Tell us a little bit about that. What kinds of flooring solutions are included in the collection?
Yeah, well, it was important to think about this space somewhat like us, like humans. So we're all different, we function differently, so a space does the same thing. So collective has these core foundational styles that bring different visuals to different areas, different feelings, and then these great sort of punchy patterns like hand in hand, which I love, which is this beautiful sort of herringbone, kind of gives a lot of energy to a space. And then something like in common, which just is this beautiful amalgamation of yarns and colors, like bringing things together, that can really ground a space.
You know, we can't talk about a collection that's been inspired by the events of the past couple of years without talking about sustainability and wellness. Tell us the sustainability story behind Collective.
Yeah, and that's you know really our recharge or remission right now is people together, planet forever. And so what that means is that we're thinking about material health. All the materials have been assessed, it's cradle to cradle. We're thinking about carbon impact. So this utilizes our Eco Solution Q100. 100% recycled content gives us low embodied carbon score, and then it's also carbon neutral. And then all of it's part of our return program with our non-vinyl EcoWorks backing, so we can take that back and make it back into backing and fiber. So that's the great thing about speccing it, and you don't have to worry about anything else.
That's so fabulous, because I know that, you know, at this point in time, those are some of the big priorities, you know, for interior designers who want to have a positive impact in the world, is they want to keep their spaces healthy, and they want to start looking at the carbon footprint of their work. And flooring, because it's such a big part of any project. I mean, you know, usually it's the entire, you know, square footage of a project is usually covered in flooring. So, you know, it's a big product category. And so it's incredible to have a low embodied carbon neutral, cradle to cradle certified product. It's just with this wide range. Tell us a little bit about the kind of spaces that the Collective Collection can go into.
Yeah, that's the other amazing thing. So there are 8 different styles, 2 different sizes, sort of a variety of really light neutrals to really saturated colors, and they're all loop construction. So it works in, you know, I could see this in education, higher ed, with these beautiful deep rich accents. We have some soft colors that are really great for healthcare. Workplace, you know, we're seeing this beautiful residential beiges and light colors that can really liven up a space. So it has a beautiful range, yeah.
Wonderful. Reese, anything else that designers need to know when they specify Collective?
Yeah, so Collective is available now, the foundational styles, and then we have some accent patterns that are be joining the collection. In a couple of months, those will be available. And then the great thing is it also collectively works with all of our products. So all of our hard surface, all of our carpet, we really wanted this to be like a foundational base. So it coordinates back to so many things. So it really links things together, just like it links people together.
That's such a beautiful idea. I love how that concept of the collection is kind of tied into almost every aspect of it, you know, in terms of how it works in a space, in terms of the patterns and designs, the materials, the sustainability story. It's just perfect, and that's why we gave it a Metropolis Likes award. Thank you so much, Reese, for joining me today and talking about the Collective Collection. And folks, if you are looking for more details on the collection, head over to shawcontract.com. It's a fantastic, beautiful flooring solution. I hope you will check it out. Thank you for joining us. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here to talk about a Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, the fantastic Connect table from Andreu World. I have Daniel Stromberg, who is Product Development Design Director at Gensler, the team behind the product. Daniel, tell us about the Connect table.
Connect Table came about, we started it, as a matter of fact, prior to the quarantine. And what started out was actually a conference table. And we had started the conversation with Andreu World about what it would take, or what we are, both as architects and designers, as well as what our clients are looking for from a conference table. Fast forward a couple months through the development, and what we realized was when the pandemic hit, there was a tidal shift in terms of how our clients and designers were starting to talk about this return to the workplace very early on. And one of the things we realized was things like conference tables might not be as applicable as they were in the past. And so we took a deep dive into the portfolio, and one of the things we realized was that they didn't offer a solution for this ideal of returning back to the workplace. And so that took us down a path of trying to figure out a tool, if you will, that would allow flexible spaces, because we knew that there was going to be a real estate rejiggering of how things happened, and creating a platform that would allow flexibility and mobility for teams to rearrange their space, socially distanced. And so we reframed the conversation from a conference table to that of a Teams table, and specifically a space-saving Teams table that had a flip top. And so that was really what threw us down and how we developed it.
I love that idea of a Teams table.
Initially, the idea of connecting was once we were back into the workplace, which we're starting to do now, how do we reconnect to each other? Sort of on a metaphorical level, right? But then also from a physical level, these actually have a connection series, a ganging device that we've developed that goes under the table that allows these tables to be configured in all sorts of different ways. So one of the things that we're offering on the table are several eaves that would go to connect in L situations, 45 degrees, so on and so forth. The fact that flip tops, there's a cable management system inside of it. We have small mouse holes that exist on the side so you can daisy chain tables together. So from an IT and power standpoint, all that's baked into the system. We've also developed a little snap-on, is what you might call it, on the aluminum extrusions that go down from the table down to the leg. We have two different leg options. We have a C option and a T option. And it allows the IT department, or the user, whoever that's going to be, to snap that off, hide the cables inside of that, and run that down to the junction box on the floor. And so those are the details that we know, just in, communicating with clients and facilities all over the time, is those are the kind of things that are really necessary for us to include into the project.
Tell us about that relationship between Gensler and Andreu World in developing Connect.
Yeah, so we had, prior to Connect, we had worked on something called the Element Sofa. And the Element Sofa started out, part of the thing about Gensler is long-term relationships, right? We believe everything starts and ends with our client. And so creating those long-term relationships are really important to us, because a lot of times, whether or not it's going to be real estate companies, tech companies, media, or even manufacturers, understanding how each other works long-term is incredibly important. And so we had established a relationship through the introduction of the Element Sofa, and then it later became Element Table, and we also had an Element Credenzas. That then was really the seed for the relationship to do all these other product lines. And so it's been a great development cycle. With most manufacturers we work with, it's always a great experience, because you learn all these different approaches to market. You also learn a lot of cultural things. The team that developed this table is all stateside in the United States. They're a Spanish company. And so it's always a challenge and interesting to work across, 9 time zones?
Tell us about that, the flip-top mechanism, all of those little mechanisms.
A lot of conference tables, flip-top, team-type tables, they'll have a double handle, right? And if you are mobily impaired, if you're compromised in any way with one arm, you can't do that, right? And so that became, from a accessibility standpoint, a very important part of this. And so we have one central handle. It's all gas assist, so it flips up and down relatively easy. There's a magnetic catch. We have modesty panels as well as an option, obviously not a mandate, but it's an option. There's a magnetic catch on that, so they can either flip up when the tables come together. And so it's a really smart system in that respect. And this is 100% recycled. We have die-cast feet that are also 100% recyclable. We have everything's red list free. And so it's our belief from a product design standpoint of developing things long term. And that becomes from a global warming potential of products, which is, we all know it's one of the dirtiest things you can do in architecture is what I do, which is furniture systems and so on and so forth. Developing something that will last a long time is incredibly important, because this idea of fast furniture or disposable furniture it's a dead end for us all. And so that was really also important for us to create something that was timeless, that wouldn't be a fashionable item. It's not a boring item, but it's something that we know long term can be used over and over and over, regardless from a real estate standpoint where those companies are positioned.
Wonderful. It's so great to hear this kind of holistic thinking about the product, and thinking about it being relevant for now, thinking about its sort of long-term life, thinking about end of life. I love hearing about all those recyclable elements. Just a fantastic solution, Daniel. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's such
Very
a
proud of the
great
team.
product.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about Connect, head on over to andrewworld.com. If you're, as Daniel said, furniture is something that we really need to be paying attention to in terms of the life of the product and how it's used. But we also need it to be a good fit for people of all abilities, and Connect certainly does that. Thank you so much,
You're
Daniel,
welcome.
and thank you for joining us. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm here to talk to you today about an incredible new product, a Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, ThreeForm's Fleck Pure material. And to talk to us today is Carly Slocum, who's VP of Marketing at ThreeForm. Carly, Fleck Pure is 100% recycled material. How in the world did you make that happen?
Well, ThreeForm has always been committed to sustainability. And one of the things that we recognized was that we had all these samples floating out there with our customers, and they didn't always need them anymore, and we didn't want them to go into a landfill. And then we also have trimmings from the production process. So anytime that we produce a big Varia panel, we have to trim off the edges. And it really bothered us that those materials were going into a landfill. And so we wanted to figure out, how do we take that back? How do we re-engineer it and put it into a brand new product? And so it actually took like 10 years. A lot of it was trying to, find the right technology. A lot of it was trying to refine the process. And really, 2 years ago, we found out how to make it 75% recycled. And the process that we went through was, we're taking these materials, we sort of chunk them up, and then we grind them up, and then there's this whole optical sorting technology that it goes through to clean it, to sort the colors and everything to ultimately come out to this product. And so we wanted to make sure that it was the right mix. And then this last year, what we found out how to do is make the panels that are on the outsides out of 100% recycled material. So once we had sort of the inside as recycled material and reclaimed material, and then we got the outside to be 100% recycled, then we were able to make it 100% recycled material. And so we're really excited to be able to introduce that. But I think the other big part too is I think it lays a foundation for future innovation, and to figure out how do we take this technology and take it across multiple product lines, or think about new products in the future.
What I love about this is that it takes recycled material and really owns the aesthetic of that in such a beautiful way. It's just got this amazing quality, a translucency to it. This is what we need. If we want to see more recycled materials in the industry, we need to make them beautiful. We need to make them, inviting and pleasurable and delightful to have in our spaces. Tell us what designers can use Fleck Pure for.
It's a really versatile material. So we're known for doing partitions in various different spaces, obviously workplace, healthcare, retail, but you really can take this material and you can add color to it, you can backlight it, you can do anything really with it to create this really great aesthetic in a space, and so we are a material provider, and really what we like to do is work with designers, work with architects to take their vision and bring it to life. And so we have a lot of abilities to heat form our panels, to cut them into different sizes, to create beautiful works of art, and then obviously to just be able to create partition spaces. And that translucency is that big piece, right? Because when you're sitting, and you're trying to divide space and create privacy, you also want to let that light in. And I think that's one of the really nice parts about our product, but really Fleck has that really great, just sophisticated sort of aesthetic that also is 100% recycled.
We were so impressed by how such a versatile material can have such a high sustainability credential, because that means that it can be used in so many different places, and that in fact multiplies the impact of this product. So it's such a incredible solution for interior designers to have. Is there anything else they should know about how they can use Fleck in projects? How they can specify, how they can sample it, how do they get a hold of it?
Yeah, I think some of the big things. So we have free samples on our website and on Material Bank, so they can easily go on there and order Fleck Pure, which is this version. But also, Fleck comes in multiple colors, and then we also have our entire 250 color palette that they can add any color to kind of make their own space unique. And then obviously we have a whole staff of materials consultants that can help, really determine, well, what gauge are you looking for, what space are you trying to put this in. But I think one of the biggest things, it is a closed loop product. And so what I want to emphasize is that anybody that's getting samples from our website, send them back to us. We provide a free shipping return label in every box that we send out, and we want them back so that we can make more products. Fleck can actually become more Fleck too. And then I think the other things too is we're working on trying to reclaim our end-of-life materials. So if they're going in and sort of demoing a space and renovating, we want those materials back. And so contacting us and working with us on that, and then again we can make sure that those materials don't land in a landfill. They don't become waste. And so I think we've got multiple different ways to help designers know how to specify and to get the samples, but also love to work with them to get those samples back into our production facility so that we can keep them, going through that process.
Fleck Pure is an opportunity for manufacturers and designers to form this relationship that they need to form, a partnership, in order to keep materials in a closed loop and to make a positive impact on people and planet. Thank you so much, Carly, for joining us today. Folks, if you want to learn more about Fleck Pure, the Metropolis Likes winner, please go to 3-form.com. That's 3-form.com for more details. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. We're here to talk about a fantastic Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, Eklund from National Office Furniture. And to talk about Eklund with us today is Anita Fraser, who is the Product Category Manager for Workplace with Kimball International. Anita, tell us about the thinking behind Eklund.
Hi Avi, thank you. Well, Eklund is a very versatile lounge series that we really wanted to take from the traditional freestanding single seat, 2-seat, 3-seat lounges, but then also be able to accommodate larger spaces with modularity, especially in open spaces where we're needing a little bit of sound protection. We also added some privacy panel models as well. And then we also go into the more A&D type realms with our vertical tufting. It's a very curvilinear and organic feeling lounge.
That's amazing. I know that the name Eklund is kind of inspired by that organic feeling as well. Do you want to talk about that? What does Eklund mean?
Sure. Part of product development is finding a name for your product, and we often joke that it's possibly one of the hardest parts of product development. But you're right, Eklund does have a very organic feel, so we wanted an organic type of name. So Eklund means a grove of trees. So, you think of a grove of trees, it's very comfortable, it's very calming, it kind of sways within the wind. And so Eklund similarly can also do that in a space.
I love that. I love because it really gives you a sense of, how people might use the product, which is really fantastic. Do you want to talk about a few of those design details you mentioned? You mentioned privacy, you mentioned vertical tufting. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, there are so many capabilities within Eklund, so many different models. And we also have those standout, unique type of models. We have the privacy panels, but then we also have what we're calling a lounge nook, where it's just a really nice personal reprieve where you can lounge, and it has a tablet surface so you can be comfortable, but then focus as well. And then we also have a desk nook, which is even more focus oriented, where it's a work surface with a privacy panel around it. It's upholstered, it's very cozy. All of those curvilinear lines just feel very safe. We also have some metal design features with our legs. We have different leg options, the metal bracketry. offers 19 different metal colors. So you can take it from the traditional metal finishes, but then also add pops of color.
Tell us about how Eklund can be used in spaces. Because it's such a versatile collection, I'm sure there's lots of different applications.
Absolutely. So the modularity really allows for large spaces, and you can fill a large space with a large flowing modular unit. But then there are also freestanding units. There's also a rocker. So if you are in a small place, Eklund can fit into any space that you need.
It's incredible. You know, I mean, I think it just speaks to how differently we use furniture in spaces now, right?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, the purpose of the office is really changing. We've really missed over this past year the collaboration and the social aspects of the workplace. With Eklund, we are really able to create any type of collaboration, whether it is a very casual conversation on a lounge, or if you want to have a more structured meeting with our spanner tables models, which also accept media. So if you need to bring in those folks that are maybe off-site, then we have media and technology incorporated into Eklund so that you can include them as well.
That's incredible. I mean, you know, it's just such a versatile collection, and it speaks to all the different ways that we work and that we want to work today, but in this very sort of organic, almost natural kind of setting. And we love the, at Metropolis, you know, we really love the emotive quality of Eklund, you know, because of the form, and then having that amazing multi-purpose function to support that. Thank you so much, Anita, for talking to us today about Eklund. It's been a real pleasure. Folks, if you want to learn more about Eklund, head on over to nationalofficefurniture.com. That's nationalofficefurniture.com. I hope you will find yourself specifying this amazing new product. Thank you so much, Anita. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Avi.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm here today to take you through another Metropolis Likes NeoCon winner, the Alexandra Gacka collection from Momentum Textiles. Here to talk to me about the collection is the VP of Design for Textiles at Momentum, Chantel McGowan. Hi, Chantel.
Hi, Avi. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. What a fantastic, beautiful collection. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind it?
Sure, Avi. I would love to. I am so passionate about this collection. I'd love to give you a little bit of the background. So I was actually one day spending time looking at the Textile Museum in Tilburg online, and they had done some collaborative work with Alexandra Gacka, and I had never heard of her. And so I started researching her work, and Avi, I fell in love. I was sitting in my office and I actually started to just weep. I was actually crying because I fell in love with her work. And as a fellow weaver, I think you just identify with other weavers' work. And I felt this just emotional connection. And so I just decided that I needed to go to her studio and meet her. And so I flew over to the Netherlands and got to spend some time with Alexandra in her studio and talk about how she has spent her life working on three-dimensional textiles. And so that is kind of how the collaboration started, is really us just sharing our love and our passion for weaving.
We think of textiles as a two-dimensional surface, but textiles have so much to offer, and especially when designers and weavers like Alexandra start to push textiles into that third dimension, which is what we found so exciting about this collection. Tell us a little bit about how the collection came to be and what that kind of three-dimensional or textural feel for the collection is.
We actually started with Alexandra working on the hand loom, and she built her concepts all on hand loom and built that dimensionality. And of course, it had so much more than we could do in a commercial textile. But then when we moved to the commercial looms, we had to bring in new resources. We had to source new yarns, start modifying our weave structures in order to really make sure that we could create this dimensionality on a commercial loom. So it was a lot of fun, just kind of building from the ground up and trying to duplicate what she could do on the hand loom.
Why was it important for you to bring that three-dimensionality into textiles? What do you think that brings to our spaces?
Yeah, I know that one of the passions that Alexandra has is to just have a real human element to design. And she feels like including that kind of dimensionality in a space, it just softens a space. It's more welcoming and inviting to a space. And so really having as much dimensionality can just bring a sense of comfort. And I think as we know, as we all head back to the workplace, a sense of comfort is something that people need right now.
So Chantal, can you tell us about the 4 products that are in this collection?
Sure, Avi. I'd like to start with Pattern Blocko. That's a real signature look for Alexandra. That pattern is based on a rectangular look, and then it uses color to create color shifting and movement within the pattern. What we loved about Alexandra's products is that the designs are always based on really basic geometric shapes. So we also have Pattern Rhonda, which is a round circular shape, and it has a beautiful weave structure in there and a recycled cotton yarn that's also used. And that was something really important to Alexandra, not just to have her 3-dimensionality, but to have a sustainability story as well. Then we have Pattern Rhombu, and that's more of a rhombus shape. That has a shift in color, so it really creates a lot of dimensionality, which is part of her signature that she loves to play with subtle color changes. And then we have the 4th pattern called Micro, and that's the texture of the collection. That one doesn't have as much dimensionality, but we did build a custom warp for that to be able to create this beautiful, intricate texture for the group.
When you actually touch these textiles, we've certainly never seen anything like it. And she's such a master of textile structure and weaves. How do you see designers using these textiles in spaces?
I see them being able to be used on a lot of different kinds of furniture. Today, furniture actually has a lot of softened lines and curves, and we know that this product can work on that furniture. One thing we wanted to make sure of was that we weren't creating a product that would be hard to upholster. So there is some limitations on how much dimensionality makes sense when you are putting it, on actual furniture. So we worked with our furniture partners to make sure that the product could work on all kinds of shapes, just to make sure that it creates that beautiful silhouette in the space.
Absolutely fantastic. You're right. I mean, much as artistically and in terms of experience, texture and feel and color, this collection really pushes the boundaries. At the end of the day, it's a very practical, applicable set of fabrics to commercial spaces. Well, thank you so much, Chantal, and congratulations on a fantastic collection. All of you who are listening and watching us, if you want to know more about the Alexandra Casa collection from Momentum Textiles, head over to memosamples.com for more details, to explore the collection and also to figure out how you can start specifying it in your projects. Thank you, Chantal. It's been wonderful having you with me today.
Thanks so much, Avi.